Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. La sharika lahu wa bidhalika umirtu wa anna awwalul muslimin. My prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for God. He is the first that has commanded me to submit, and that I do. My subject comes today from chapter or Surah 49, verse 11. O you who believe, believers, he's talking to the believers, let not a group of you mock the other group, because the latter may be better than the former. Let not women mock other women, because it may be that the latter may be better than the former. Let not your friends defame one another or insult one another or call each other by derogatory nicknames. The Quran goes on to say how bad it is to insult your brother after having faith. I'm going to say that again. How misguided it is to insult your brother after having faith. The Quran says whoever does this is of the zalimun, the misguided, the wrongdoers. As believers, and I'm talking to us all, whoever's viewing this tape, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. But now that I'm a man, I speak as a man. We grew up in dysfunctional environments where mocking people, giving people nicknames, and being derogatory towards people was the order of the day. We lived in a time which the Quran calls Jahiliyyah, a time of ignorance. We were so ignorant in our dysfunctional environments, we even played what we call playing the dozen, where we mocked each other's mothers. Oh, listen to me, because you know I'm telling the truth. We were so ignorant that we would practice jokes and go to school and talk about each other's mothers and down in each other's mothers. Oh, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, but now as a man, I got to teach you what men and women do. The Quran says don't mock each other. Don't call each other by derogatory nicknames. Why is this important? Because you don't know the trauma of that person that you're mocking. You don't know the dysfunctionality that that person grew up in and that you're mocking. You say, oh, no. It's just jokes. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Holy Quran. See, you don't understand. When you are mocking an individual, when you're giving people derogatory nicknames, you are being just as injurious as the devil himself. Because life and death is in the power of the tongue. We are so misguided. We are so dysfunctional that we even give our children derogatory nicknames. And you think it's so funny. You think it's so humorous, but it shows your immaturity. Come here, doo-doo. Think about that. Giving a child that type of name, and they carry that all of their lives. Look at my babies. They so skinny, they look like a crackhead. Everybody laughs. Everybody has a joyous time with it. You don't know how injurious that is to that baby. When I was growing up in Alexandria, Louisiana, we didn't have the best. We didn't have a lot of money, so my clothes were 2 sizes, 3 sizes too big. And sometimes I was so embarrassed to go to school. One time I was playing like I was sick, and so I wouldn't have to go to school. My mom, of course, a proponent of education, got me up at the last minute, and I had to go to school. Well, I forgot to comb my hair because she pushed me out so fast. And so I went to school, they used to have these little candies called BD bombs, right? And so because my hair wasn't combed and it was knotted up, they adopted for me the name BD bombs. This name went still people in Alexandria, Louisiana. I am a grown man with children, with grandchildren, and when I go there, certain elements of the people call me BD bombs. Now think about that, how traumatic that was for a child. Think about how traumatic that was for a child trying to garner some self-esteem. Okay, they were children. I understand that. But what about you? You are still in an immature state. You think that's how you need to communicate with your friends, with your colleagues, with those people in your lives by mocking them. You say, no. It was just jokes. Or you say as a friend, you say, oh, somebody need to tell them the truth. I'm going to keep it 100 with them. This is a sign of immaturity. This is a sign of your lack of self-awareness. This is a sign that you don't understand how words injure people. This is a sign that you haven't taken time to be aware of who you are, and what your role is in this world. Oh, brother, look like you gaining a little weight. While it's funny to you, and the other person may laugh, you don't know what they're doing when they go home because they may have reached back to some of that trauma. They may have not overcome that. You say, come on, Shabazz, this is how we communicate. This is how we do it. We've always done that. That's how men do that. Yes, you're right. It doesn't make it right. The Holy Quran says, don't call each other nicknames. Don't mock each other. Why? Because it's injurious. You think it's funny to disrespect people because you're misguided. You think you're funny to mock people because you're misguided. The Quran calls these people who mock people Zalimun. They are the wrongdoers because they themselves have not come into God consciousness. And the only way they can communicate with you is to mock you. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You should never have a friend that mocks you. You should never have a friend that is continuous in their debasement of you, even if you think that they're playing. They're not playing. They're looking at your improprieties. They're looking at your inconsistencies, like all of us. We're weighing you. And then, based upon how we see you, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You see, the Quran says, "O you who believe." Why does the Quran start off with "O you who believe"? Because those people who are not believers will look at this message and say that is impossible to do. They will look at this message and say, well, how can you expect me to change that? How can you expect me to do something, change something that I've been doing all my life? I'm not really serious. Oh, you who believe. The Quran says, woe to the scandal monger and the backbiter. The scandal monger is that person who is always talking injurious stuff about not only his brother and his sister, but others. They're mocking them in front of them. They're mocking them behind them. I'm just trying to teach you a little maturity this morning. So people ask me sometimes, they say, yo, imam or chaplain, you seem kind of sensitive. I have to explain to them, we're all sensitive. Some of us hide it better than others. But if you don't seek to understand a person's past, if you don't seek to understand a person's trauma, if you don't seek to understand who that person is, what triggers them and what sends them back to that type of trauma, you're really not a friend. You're really an agent and devil's advocate. Oh, I know that's kind of hard for you. It's not that you're a bad person, but just as the Quran says, there are some people in your life that are well-meaning, but if they're misguided, they speak the devil's tongue. I want you to listen to that. I won't keep you long because I only want to give a short message here. The believers guard the tongue. The believers are careful how they talk to people. The believers only seek to uplift the partners in their life. The believers are very careful not to even slip, as the Quran says, when they're talking to those people in their lives, because they don't want to become injurious to them. In our fraternities, in our sororities, in our lives, you see people with these nicknames that are derogatory. And I always say to myself, I wonder how aware they are of those names, or they are taking those names to be a part of the group, as juxtaposed to taking a name of dignity, a name of self-worth, a name that's gonna uplift them. I remember, as I close here, being in the fraternity, and one guy suggested that I take the name Demon Dog. Now, I wasn't very self-aware at that time, but I knew I didn't want to be Demon Dog. I mean, just think about it. Demon Dog. Anyway, let's not elaborate on that. As I close, the Holy Quran says, "O you who believe, don't mock each other. Don't insult each other. Don't call each other derogatory nicknames, because it is injurious to those people you are mocking. How could you have faith and then insult your brother or your sister? May God's peace and blessings be upon you.